So I had an interesting moment. Usually in the morning, I wake up and I feel some demand to take action. Today's was, we've got to change gyms. I haven't been able to go to the gym because I lost my key card and I moved and I need a way to change home gyms. And I had procrastinated on this. In the meantime, though, I got things for my home gym, weights, uh, bands, things so that I could work out at home. But this thought gave me so much anxiety. Maybe anxiety is the wrong word, but I was sitting there with the thought reeling internally. Not because I'm scared to make phone calls, not because I'm anxious about talking to people. That ain't what it is. But it's 7 o'clock in the morning. I have this thought, and something inside me demands that I take immediate action. It's 7 a.m. Who's gonna pick up when I call? You know what I'm saying? It's 7 a.m. And so I told myself, as I picked up my phone, scrolling on TikTok, like, okay, noted. Self, you realize I made the decision to cancel that membership and to focus on calisthenics instead. Save a little bit of money and use what I have at home. And there was this, what I was feeling was not real to what I had decided. And it's crazy that I had such a drive, push, anxiety, restlessness. You're not doing it when you need to be doing it. You have to be doing this now, for an action I'm not even going to take. It's crazy. I gotta stop saying it's crazy. I picked that up from somebody. It's not crazy. It doesn't align or reflect with what's real, which makes me question that voice. See, any voice with urgency, any thought with some sort of guidance or directive or you should, or I assume comes from God. I assume. But I'm finding that this voice I've attributed to God does not always speak in truth. Which means, obviously, it's not the Lord's voice. And I'm sure this, talking to my brothers and sisters in the faith mainly, but I'm sure this is something that people can relate to. Those who have, internal monologues, or people who do hear from God, getting a clarity on what is and what isn't. The feeling of the voice, of the thought, makes me think it's God or it's the Holy Spirit because it seems to be speaking towards purposefulness. And my perspective of God is one who's always like purposeful, or, telling me what I should do to be better and do better and stuff like that. But I think, and I wrote a poem about this, my perspective of God gets in the way of my reality with God. What I think and what the word says and what actually happens in reality, because God's sovereignty is in control. I don't want to say in control, that's reductionistic, but God's sovereignty guides reality, then what do I do with this part of myself that's masquerading as God? And how does that affect my relationship with Christ? I think if we're honest with our thoughts and ourself, we have parts of ourself and aspects that we assume is God, that we allow to masquerade as God. And that's why when times get difficult, or when something doesn't go our way, we are tempted to yell at God because of our perception of who he is and what he's about. And oftentimes, those are not rooted in truth. So, I'm not really on here to be a teacher today. What do I do with this? What do I do with this part of myself that demands action and triggers anxiety or restlessness when it's not met? Well, I told myself, hey, I'm canceling that. That line of action that you've coded for is no longer true. It's no longer not applicable. What's the word? Valid? I don't know. Something like that. And the anxiety stayed for a while. And I had to unpack, that consequence does not push motion. Shouldn't it? Doesn't. Something I might have picked up from childhood, from school, the way I was raised, but consequence is not the driving engine of this being. Honestly, if I don't do something, something does, we've all been there. If you don't do the work, you don't get the grade. Or you act up in school and you get a, and there's a change in behavior. So now in my subconscious, a catalyst for stubborn existence is punishment. I'll say that differently. A catalyst for change when I'm not doing what I think I should be doing is punishment. It's some sort of negative response until whatever's ideal is presented. Sounds pretty unhealthy. I just woke up, by the way, so. And so eventually, the feeling of that, it faded. It's fading now. And I'm finding like where there's no demand on me, I'm finding both space and a calmness. And I'm finding that I'm more mobile, which is cool. Like I'm doing stuff that before I was kind of paralyzed and not responding and not doing the things I'm supposed to do. I'm folding my laundry, we're doing things. When consequence and punishment aren't part of the equation, I find that I flourish. So then, and here comes my thoughts, what then prompts change for the things that are difficult and hard to do? I can feel this taskmaster part of my brain, which I'm going to have to learn how to teach to be a servant of me. What I mean by that is, you have your emotions for a reason. You have your thoughts for a reason. You are designed on purpose. There's nothing that doesn't have a function or a story, even negative things. So if I have a taskmaster, that's what I'm going to deem it, in my head that says, hey, you need to do this and you need to do this. Now, how do I, instead of him being my master, make him my servant? What service can this part of me be in a healthier way? That's thoughts that I'm thinking. But I want to keep this because I feel like I'm at the front. It's wild. What I mean by that is these pressures of expectation usually guide my life, or these demands of schedule and time and all this thing. It's here, and I'm reactive and responding, and trying to keep up. So when I say I feel like I'm at the front, I'm not talking about different personalities. Respectfully, I'm saying that instead of consequence and expectation and demand leading my life, I'm feeling that I'm determining what I want to pour out and give and be, and allowing reality to take its form around it, rather than bending and being boxed in by reality. By reality, I'm talking about societal norms, pressures, and expectations, like I was talking about here. I gotta define stuff because I realize I live a whole different life. Hold on, we might be on to something here. I don't know what. Anyway, so yeah, that's just some morning thoughts. With the creative space, I wanted to do something with it, so I decided to record. It's been a long time. On this platform, not on my other one. But I decided to record. And instead of labeling and assigning more things to this, I'm just gonna let the space be open. I can feel the part of myself searching for, okay, well, what's the next thing? What do I do now? Not me using my socks as a prompt. And I'm gonna push is an active word. I'm gonna rest in this lack of demand space and see what comes out of it. But now I know, now I'm aware that there's a part of me that makes demands. And if those demands aren't met, it produces negative feedback. And I need to dig into that and say, okay, hey, like I was saying before, why is this your response? What is rooted here? What is the fear that you're trying to avoid? What is the reward that you're trying to get? Why does this matter so much that this action be taken? This action takes place immediately, right now. You know? What are you trying to become? What are you trying to grow into? And hopefully get to the space where I allow myself to be the assigner rather than the assignee. To determine what's important to me, not what society or what even upbringing says is important. But to say, okay, and we're not talking about like morality and all that stuff. I'm just talking about your day-to-day activities. But what will I spend my time doing? And to make this a space without punishment. I think that's what love is.